VITURE has just released the new Pro version of their neckband in the past few days, matching the latest version of their glasses, namely the VITURE XR Pro glasses. If you have no idea what these glasses can do, then please watch my review on them first and then come back. And for the rest of you, let's go this way.
This is Hubwood.
So right away, VITURE provided me with the Neckband Pro in the 12GB RAM and 256GB storage variant, as well as the glasses for testing. But there was no money involved for this review, and they also didn't get to see the video before it was published. And be aware, some features are still in beta right now, and apparently there will be more updates according to VITURE, so keep that in mind, and I can only pass on what they told me at this point. So, why a new neckband, you might be asking yourselves? Yeah, I was asking that myself. I think for many people, the biggest criticism of the old one was the volume of the fan. And I can immediately put your minds at ease. You can now practically run the thing silently without it getting hot. The now 3 instead of previously 2 fan modes are called Silent, Balanced and Boost. Silent is super quiet, basically unhearable. Balanced only becomes audible under heavy load. And in Boost mode, the fan runs more or less constantly. In Boost, I sometimes also noticed an additional strange sound beside the fan noise, probably from the vibration resonating with my skin, clothing or something like that. Changing the fan mode had absolutely no measurable impact on the performance of the Neckband Pro, for me at least. And I tested that using the integrated Android 13 system with Geekbench and 3DMark benchmark runs. Before we get into the rest of the details, the basic principle of the VITURE neckband as a mobile, comfortably wearable Android system around your neck for the VITURE XR glasses hasn't changed. I still think the wearing comfort is good, and now that it's really quiet, it's even better. And you can truly watch movies or stream games on the go, while it's also a bit lighter. At home, you can also stream really well via your home network, for example from your PC with Steam Link or directly from your Xbox or PlayStation, since the respective apps are already pre-installed on the neckband. In other words, the game is running on your PC or console, and then it's streamed via Wi-Fi to the neckband and from there onto the glasses. And of course, depending on your network, there's a certain delay, like you might already know from services such as G4 Now. But for me, it was okay and not too bad. And if it was sometimes, I just restarted the neckband and then it was fine again. There are now 2 different versions available, one with 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage, and one with 12GB of RAM and 250GB of storage, like this one. The processor and battery are identical in both cases, but the battery lasts longer than in the previous neckband, while VITURE claims the CPU is 7 times faster and the GPU 38 times faster than on the previous neckband. By the way, the CPU is based on a relatively old Qualcomm 8-core processor for smartphones from 2022. And for reference, if you want to compare that with your own smartphone, in Geekbench it scored 1136 in the single-core test and 3149 in the multi-core test. VITURE also includes the 8-bit Do controller for free in the bundle of glasses and the new neckband, which connects via Bluetooth to the neckband and can be used to play streamed games, for example. Or you can play simpler games directly here on the neckband, like for example Diablo Immortal or Fortnite. I mean, basically anything that supports an external controller. Otherwise, you'd need an app that maps the buttons to the relevant areas in other games. So titles that only have this on-screen controls, which we're all too familiar with by now. Though I did have the problem that using the rear shoulder button and the joysticks at the same time didn't work for me. VITURE has promised they'll address that. If I used my Xbox controller instead, that problem did not occur, so I'm hoping it'll get fixed with future updates. Apart from that, I was able to stream games from my PC or laptop via Wi-Fi onto the neckband pretty well while lying a bit away in my bed, comfortably on my back, playing a quick round via the glasses. And yes, that's quite extravagant in general. So, what else is new about the VITURE Neckband Pro? It now has, and I have to say unfortunately, no integrated D-pad for direct control on the neckband itself. It now only has 3 buttons, like for turning it on or off, standby, display brightness and volume, plus a hotkey for the menu in the neckband's operating system. You can also press one of the buttons quickly 3 times, so that the integrated display shrinks and moves to the side, in case you want to talk to someone briefly or do something else like doing your laundry while watching a movie, for example. A new addition is the option to operate it using hand gestures. There is a small camera and a sensor built in front for that. Briefly hold your hand directly in front of it and the whole thing activates. Theoretically, you can then operate this device with your hand in the air, but that's still a beta version and it didn't work well enough for me. Please check the comments to see if I've posted an update on that after a few days or weeks. I mean, it basically works, but it's not precise at all and it's a bit buggy. So I actually prefer to use the Neckband remote app on my phone every time to control it via the trackpad, which looks like this. There's also an alternative laser pointer control and a digital D-pad, but I really consider the trackpad the most comfortable and precise. Now that the integrated buttons are gone, the neckband looks a bit simpler and a bit more stylish. The material has also changed. It's now semi-transparent, and you can see the fan over here, rather than the matte plastic of the non-Pro version, which apparently will no longer be available officially aside from any remaining stock. The system now also supports full HD streaming directly via the integrated apps, so you get noticeably better image quality than before. And that makes it a lot more fun to use. Oh, and by the way, when pressing the front button a little longer, you can directly talk to an integrated AI model, which is a bit like ChatGPT Lite. It's mainly designed to answer questions concerning video games, like helping you with quests or giving you strategies. But in general, you can ask other stuff as well. Unfortunately, I can't show that to you since the on-screen recorder here won't record that process. Okay, let's try this way. What can you do for me?
I can provide information, tips, and strategies on a wide range of topics, especially related to video games, including game mechanics, character builds, and troubleshooting. I can also answer questions about game lore, recommendations for games to play, and help with general gaming knowledge.
To connect the neckband to the PC, unfortunately, you can't use the USB-C charging port here at the front. But I noticed that VITURE also sent me this little USB-C adapter, which then lets you connect the neckband to USB-C via the magnetic connector. And then Windows immediately recognizes it as an external device, just like smartphones. That way I was able to easily transfer, for example, recorded movies from the screen captures or upload my own series and movies onto the neckband. And I have to say, that is really fast. 2.5 GB in 5 to 6 seconds. That's apparently a transfer rate of around 500 megabytes per second. That's absolutely enough for the 128 GB or 256 GB capacity of the neckband. I also quickly want to talk about the new and bigger battery. A maximum of around 4 hours of runtime is specified, which is 50% more than in the old neckband. But that's only achieved when you're in the simpler Android mode. If the neckband is used in spacewalker mode, you only get like 1.5 to 2 hours, unless you have a charger or a power bank connected at front. The small LED in the front of the neckband also indicates the remaining battery capacity depending on the provided color. It's white for 50 to 100%, yellow for 20 to 50%, and red for 1 to 20%. But what actually is the spacewalker mode? When you activate it, the neckband offers a few additional convenience features like multiple virtual displays, meaning you can have an extra screen on the left or right, or you can also virtually pin the screen in space, which is then tracked by sensors integrated in the glasses. If you want, you can also set it so that the screen will still follow your gaze in smooth follow mode, even when you move your head like a lot. If you feel like getting the Neckband Pro for yourself and trying it out, then you can use the links in the description or in the comments and get another 10% off with the code Hubwood. The 8GB version with 128GB of disk space then costs $269 instead of $299, and the 12GB version with 256GB of disk space is then $369 instead of $399. And that's all for today. Liking the video and or subscribing to the channel would be awesome. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye and cheers.